Check, check, check. Let's see if this is going. I don't know where my monitor is. So let's test this. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to need my headphones for this today, so I don't think I'm going to be playing anything. So, okay. Yes, aloha. Welcome to Dropping In a Pipeline Audio. This is episode number 18. And so right off the bat, for some reason my website server keeps going down, and last week's episode wasn't published. I'm trying to get it published now. And that was with Phil Zio, and hopefully it made it to some of the other servers like Stitcher and stuff. But it was about that new ToneLib, whatever, TONELIB GFX software, which is amplifier and effects modeler for guitars and basses and whatever else you want to use them for, that are aimed to take on, looks like, bias and amplitude and, you know, the regular cast of characters there. But they're doing a lot of things right. Direct entry, fine tuning, you can see values at a glance. And right now it's free. I don't think they have MIDI on the VST version, though they have it on the standalone. They don't have the all-important auto-engage for the wah, as far as I can tell. And there's no harmonizer there. And the amplifiers maybe are a little bit limited, but I was able to get all the different sounds I wanted. And its IR loader works really well. And we had showed just how amazingly efficient it was. It used very little CPU and even less real-time CPU than the rest of them. So this is a very, very efficient plugin you could track with at low latencies without worrying too much. And they also made something to compete with Guitar Pro. In fact, you know, why am I talking about this? I can pull this stuff up. So let me do this. So ToneLib Jam seems to be like a it's very much like Guitar Pro. It'll open Guitar Pro format files. I don't think it'll open Guitar Pro 7 files right now, but it seems to open the rest of them. In fact, let me look at what we can open here. Actually, I can't tell what it'll open. All supported files say ToneLib Jam files, Guitar Pro 6, 5, 4, 3, Power Tab, Tabl Edit, Tux Guitar, MIDI, and Rocksmith. Okay. So one of the weird things about this is that it had where is it? It had play along effects. So I'm not exactly sure what this thing is. If partly they almost want to do a DAW here, because you could run VST plugins inside it, of all things. So I'm not exactly sure what they're planning on doing, but this is a free editor that'll open Guitar Pro files. So, you know, I always say, like, bands today have no excuse. You can, instead of writing down some stuff on a napkin and trying to remember what it is and telling the rest of your band what you're trying to do on this new song, you guys can all write this stuff. It plays it back for you. If you're not familiar with Guitar Pro, go check it out. It's like a sequencer and notation system all in one, and it even helps you learn songs, because you, at least on Guitar Pro, you have a speed trainer. I bet you have it on this thing too. So if you're in a band and you want to show the rest of your band some songs, you want to collaborate, even if you're not with them at the time, you can just write this down. Or even when you are with them, you can write all this down. It's all multi-track, everything. There's no excuse for people to suck today, and there's no excuse for bands not to have out the songs that they want to have out. So I would definitely go check this out, and hopefully that other episode will go back up and you'll hear more about it, because Phil was on there with me and ended up making a lot more sense. So yeah, I think we're all still using ToneLib, whatever, GFX, and learning more about it. I'm having a good time with it. And as much as I love Bias, and I still like the sound of Bias better, but man, it sure makes a lot less trouble. It uses less resources in every way, so you might want to go check that out. Okay, and so this week we started the course by Matt Cat Music. Let me see if I can pull that up. course, I don't see it on a... here's a thing from Juice anyway. So Matt Cat Music, the guy who made Cordy, he has a class up, programming for musicians. So it's C++ for guys like me who want to make plugins and work in Juice. And some of you know my history. I've taken and passed several college level C++ courses, got through them with flying colors. I've had Justin Frankel himself try and hold my hand through making C++ things, plugins and such. And it just doesn't take, for some reason, I just cannot get programming. I can speak to programmers, and I think I've spent my life as that valuable bridge between the end user and the programmer himself. But I still can't code, after all these years, after all these people who've helped me, the best in the world, and I don't know if I'm too dumb for it or what, but here's another class, and it's very reasonably priced. And we're going through the first week of it. I have a lot of stuff going on, so I did fall behind a little bit, but even for the stuff that I did have time for, I am struggling hard and barely making it through. I'm a couple days behind now. We're into our second week, and I haven't finished the first week, but I'm still enjoying it. He's the guy who made the course is having to spend too much time working with just me, which is kind of sad, but I'll try and catch up before I take any of the other students' valuable time anymore. But if you're at all interested in this, and especially if you're young and you don't want to wash cars for a living, this would be an excellent course, especially if you're into music. Just start learning the code. I mean, if you don't, I think a lot of people just don't realize exactly how much our world is about to change. And a lot of this traditional, just because it worked before stuff, is not going to really be a future for you. And learning programming would be a very smart thing to do. And this is this course costs a whole lot less than a lot of dumb things you could be doing. So that's just type in audio programming for musicians, and let's see. Let me find the audio programmer website. Actually has something about it. Let me see if his. So you could go to theaudioprogrammer.com, and his link doesn't work. So that's how well this bodes for how well will this work. So anyway, I'm sure you can find it. Just type in programming for musicians and you'll find it, or just type in Matt Cat Music. You'll find it on Google. I'm not sure when the next class is going to be, but I would sign up for that. This is I wish I would have had this a long time ago. This is actually targeted at what I'm doing, not just talking about foo and bar and whatever. I'm actually starting to get it a lot more than I have before, so who knows? It could be good. Another funny development. So a lot of you guys know, I built these little kid bands, and they kind of did real good. They ended up on TV a lot. Some people got scholarships out of it. Our kids, I started them when they were 8 years old. When they were 12, they ended up opening for Jack White over at the Blaisdell, which is the biggest venue in Hawaii. And so we did some things to get them on their way. And this week, one of my original random weirdos got signed to Universal Music Group, which is awesome. And we'll see how much credit I get for that or not. But I think you guys know the funny thing is right now, and we've talked about this before, just how much Universal Music is attacking me. They will probably shut down this live stream as we speak. They've been making DMCA claims against me just for using my voice, which is absolutely insane. YouTube, Facebook, you guys are complicit at this point. Google, you're complicit at this point. We know the algorithm doesn't work. Sure, legitimately, if I'm uploading somebody else's music and you stop my stream for it, that's what that's there for, and I support that 100,000%. But when you go after me for hitting a snare drum, that is nonsense. So, UMG, thank you for taking care of one of my kids, but please stop attacking me. And that's not just Universal Music Group. That's Warner Music Group. That is Audio Rev, Ad Rev, Audio Micro, all these copyright trolls that you got out there. YouTube, stop helping them. You are a partner in their crime at this point. Same with you, Facebook. At least give us a way to whitelist ourselves. So anyway, so that's good. I'm proud for her on that one. But the main event here is this testing. So you guys see me all the time getting upset about people making magical claims about audio, especially about audio gear, and especially telling noobs that they need to spend all this money on something and that it has magical properties and that without it you're going to sound horrible and you're going to kill the baby Jesus or whatever it is. The claims are so hyperbolic and ridiculous. And but I have to say that one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this is that this is the way I was trained. This is the way that the highest echelons of education, the colleges, all your ivory tower professors and stuff, when it comes to this industry, they believe in this stuff. They believe in this magical unobtainium. Just because you can measure something doesn't mean that it's telling you the truth. There are at the very top levels of this industry, there are people who believe that two audio files that null against each other, that is, when you invert one and play the original, they cancel each other out 100%. So that means they are absolutely, positively identical. In no way are they different at all. Still yet, at the top levels of this industry, especially in the education side, all those jokes about those who can't teach, but which isn't true, but sometimes it is. Go and pay for your ivory tower, white Ivy League education, and you'll still be told this, even though these files null, they're somehow different. So I've spent my life trying to make up for that because I was taught this way and I believed it and I preached it. This was a religion that I took part of, and I am very sorry for doing that. And part of my penance is to fight against it, to go out and bust these myths. And so that's what I'm doing. And so I've got myself a bunch of, I got an Apogee converter sitting here. I have a bunch of high-end mic preamps and other gear that I'm going to be testing. And we're going to put these claims to the test. And, there's going to be a lot of people who do believe in magical unobtainium, magical speaker cables, people who believe in magic power cables, the whole deal. We're going to say that my tests just weren't subtle enough. But for the hyperbolic claims that they're giving to these noobs, like when they tell some guy who just bought his first guitar, oh, you can't play that guitar because it's made out of the wrong kind of wood, just nonsense like that. Or this mic preamp is so much muddier than this other mic preamp. Those kind of claims can be tested. I mean, those are claims where you're talking about at least a 3 decibel change in the frequency response or noise floor, something. These are things that you can very most definitely see. These aren't unobtainable measurements. These are all obvious measurements, and so that's what we're going to be showing. Mainly, I'm going to be doing frequency response, noise, and distortion. Those are the biggies. The distortion is a little bit tricky, so I'm going to be doing those at different levels. One of the claims you always hear is that there's some nonlinear components of the behavior of mic preamps, for instance. As you push them harder, they distort in a pleasing way. And I've actually experienced that with certain types of mic preamps. I know one of them was actually broken. But for a snare drum, I just wasn't getting enough snap out of the bottom. And I just cranked this thing till it was clipping. And I liked it. So first of all, I want to see, do these things actually sound different at different gain levels? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of even that isn't true. We do know that for sure it's not true that these things sound so drastically different that these guys who claim them, these Ivy Ivy League professors who claim they can hear a difference. Every time they're put up double blind, they fail. You know, the famous case of them picking the Art and the Mackie preamp, right? If you can just search that one up for yourself. So I have a feeling that very many of these claims aren't true in the first place, and then to the degree that they're true, they're probably not all that profound. I mean, for the most charitable way to put this, I'm going to say that at the most this is a deepity. You know, ask Dan Dennett what that means, but there's also a lot of fraud going on. There's a lot of nonsense by the marketing machine. You've seen guys who make clocks lie about what the clocks do. You know, some of these guys you can say that they're probably just deluded by their own Kool-Aid, but sometimes they have it pointed out to them in no uncertain terms exactly how to test these things, and they still keep on peddling the stuff. So, yeah, I want to be charitable, but at that point, we're talking lies, I think. So anyway, I went out and bought Right Mark Audio Analyzer. I know there's a free version, but the paid version lets you change some levels and some other parameters. I'm having a little bit of trouble with that setting levels wise because they want to do most of their tests at full scale, and some of these tests, like okay, so let's go to the total harmonic distortion test. I might be doing intermodulation distortion as well, but for total harmonic distortion, it looks from the schematics that I've seen, and you know, it's been a while since I was playing with my soldering iron last night, but I don't build stuff like that anymore. It looks to me from the schematics that I've seen that most mic preamps, their gain control is actually an attenuator. So it should be that feeding more level into them will have the same result as turning the gain up. With the added benefit that the noise would stay the same, but there's a chance that they're not like this. And then in some cases where we have these tube mic preamps with output controls as well as gain controls, I do want to crank the gain level and turn the output down, and then purposely distort it. Let's just see how much distorted, and let's see what the character of the distortion is. Is it low end, or is it how I usually see it when you're talking about tubes? They actually add treble, they add brightness. It's not the warmth that I hear. I hear that cranking. But anyway, so I'm probably going to have to do this test both by varying the level going in and by varying the gain. So I'm not exactly sure. Right Mark Audio Analyzer makes that a little bit tricky. What I do like about it is that you can make graphs with it that will show you several devices at once, which is going to be very handy later on to compare all this stuff. If you've seen how DawBench does their CPU testing, that can be pretty handy. So the other product I'm looking at to do this is Roomy Q Wizard, and I wasn't having very much luck with it, but I see people that are able to use it just fine. So I'm doing something wrong. I could use some help with that. Carbo Music over at the Reaper forums, he seems to know this, so I'm probably going to be torturing him. So if you're listening to this, Carbo, you probably want to shut off your computer and head for the hills, because I'm going to be calling you. So I'm not 100% sure about my methodologies right now, and I could use some help figuring that out. One thing that I want to do as I'm going to test mic preamps is I need to get them down to the level that it wants to see, and I need to get the impedance that a mic would present. So I've got piles of direct boxes and reamps and all this stuff, and what I was going to do is just feed the signal to a reamp, and then send that signal from not the reamp, but from a DI, and send that DI to the mic preamp. So it would think it was a microphone. The trouble with that is the DI definitely has its own frequency response curve, and I want to null that out. So back in the day, we used to use reversal files for making impulses, and with Right Mark Audio Analyzer, I'm really not sure. I think they're using an impulse like a I'm not exactly sure what the test file is that they're sending out, and I do need to modify that so that I can take into account the sound of the direct box. So if I can null that out, and it looks like Room EQ Wizard has a way to calibrate that out, but I'm not positive about that. And there was some other stuff about Room EQ Wizard that I wasn't sure that I wanted to use it because of. But again, Carbo, I'm going to be torturing you for that information. So of course this also means that I'm going to be testing DIs and reamps. So I've got piles of DIs, but if you guys want to send stuff I don't have, go ahead. I'll test it, send it right back. I need some more mic preamps. I've got several. I've got more than I can test right now. So I don't want anybody sending any more mic preamps yet until I get these all sent back to you. I don't want you running your studio without your mic preamps. And so, I don't even have the methodology down yet, so I'm not sending anything back this second, but I will as soon as I possibly can. And aside from that, the other thing this week I've been trying out Total Mix, RME's Total Mix, and my Midas M32, the X32s, all that stuff, they have their own MIDI controls that seem to work okay. I've been able to send MIDI from these things over their MIDI ports. I haven't been able to send it over their Ethernet for some reason. But I've also got other MIDI devices that I can use, and you can control the talkback in Total Mix with MIDI. But it keeps seeing, like, every time I turn the computer on, it doesn't like its control. So I was really thinking about buying that ARC USB controller that RME sells, but I don't know that I want to pay $200 for a single talkback switch. I'm not really using the rest of it. So if you guys see one of those things used, let me know. I'm gonna pick it up, and I'm gonna keep trying to get to the bottom of why the MIDI doesn't seem to be working with Total Mix itself. Right now I'm pretty much using a MIDI Man Uno controller to get in, so maybe that's the problem. But I was also doing something with my FCB 1010, so we'll see. And of course I forgot to grab MIDI cables. If anybody knows where there's some short ADAT cables for cheap that I can order, let me know too. But aside from that, that's gonna be all this week. I'm gonna try to get that episode 17 back up if my website comes back up. Sorry about that, and I will talk to you guys later.